So what actually separates the top 1% of performers from everyone else? Well, it's not just hustle, it's the systems they run in their heads. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're breaking down the ultimate executive playbook derived directly from Sandeep Swadia, also known as the MIT monk. Sandeep's journey is literally incredible. I mean, he went from being homeless on the streets of Mumbai to graduating from MIT and eventually becoming a CEO and board member for companies worth tens of billions of dollars. We're going to look at the exact mental models, frameworks, and protocols that got him there. Oh, and stick around, because at the end of this explainer, I'm going to share a highly specific AI prompt you can copy and paste to instantly generate your own complete slide-by-slide executive presentation of these exact frameworks. But before we get to the frameworks, ask yourself this. Most people use AI kind of like a vending machine, right? They push a button, grab whatever generic junk food output everyone else gets, and call it a day. But are you using it to build an empire? The stakes in the modern professional landscape have literally never been higher. AI is absolutely coming for the scripted parts of our jobs, and the gap between those who use AI as a toy and those who wield it as a weapon, it's widening every single day. Mastering the frameworks we're about to cover is how you cross that gap. Okay, let's dive into this. We've mapped out a highly structured 5-part playbook for you today. We're going to start with mastering AI and technology, then move right into accelerated learning and deep focus. From there, we'll tackle communication and leadership before jumping into business, wealth, and systems thinking. And finally, we'll wrap the whole shebang together with your core operating system, career, productivity, and mindset. Starting things off with Section 1, Mastering AI and Technology. You know, to wield AI properly, you absolutely need cold, structured logic. You have to speak its language before you can leverage your own human intelligence to stand out. This slide right here is your cheat sheet for speaking what Sandeep calls machine English. Because if you talk to AI like a human, you're going to get hallucinations. But if you use these frameworks, it transforms into a brilliant chief of staff. For example, check out the PRIME framework for elite prompting. You don't just ask a question, right? You give it a purpose, provide research, let the AI interview you, define the mechanics, and give examples. Or you can use Ocean to make the output actually sound like you, pushing it to be original and narrative-driven. Pause the explainer here to screenshot this toolkit because we're about to look at how to automate it. Now, moving beyond just simple prompting, the top 1% are already using fully autonomous AI agents. But when do you actually hand over the keys? Well, you use the ARR rule. You delegate tasks that can run autonomously, are reoccurring, and are reviewable by you. And before you build an agent, you've got to run a GPS check. You must have a clear goal, proof of what good looks like, and the exact steps required. I mean, if you don't know the steps, the AI for sure won't either. And where are agents making the biggest impact? The craft categories: communication, research, analytics, functional, and technical tasks. So here's an immediate action item for us. Pick one recurring, annoying task in your workflow and run a GPS check on it tonight. Let's move to Section 2, Accelerated Learning and Deep Focus. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it frames the future. Since AI is rapidly taking over scripted skills, your ability to learn unscripted, complex concepts at high speed is literally your only true moat. These frameworks entirely re-engineer how you process information. See, most people try to avoid mistakes when learning. High performers, they optimize for errors. Take the TRAP framework for durable memory. It forces you to test yourself, retain through repetition, associate concepts, and perform by teaching others. And the ACT framework for deep reading, you're not just passively consuming a book. You aim with a purpose, compress the core idea, test it by arguing with the author, own it, and run it into real-world action. These methods force high-quality mistakes, and those mistakes trigger the exact neurochemicals required to build permanent neural pathways in your brain. But listen, none of that matters if your attention span is completely fractured. This is the SOS framework. It's a biological hack to rebuild your cognitive endurance. First, sprint, do intense, focused, deep work. Second, offload, step away entirely. No phone, no email, zero inputs. Third, save. Take a tiny 10-second micro break right after learning something complex. Neuroscience actually shows that during these tiny pauses, your brain replays the new information up to 30 times faster, hitting the save button on your memory. Start implementing this SOS rhythm immediately to cure fractured attention span. All right, Section 3, Communication and Leadership. As you rise in your career, the stakes obviously get higher. But remember, real leadership power doesn't belong to the loudest person in the room. It belongs to the one who never loses their calm. When you speak to executives, you need to deliver clarity as a gift to the room. The AA pyramid teaches you to completely flip how you communicate. Give the answer first, back it up with arguments second, and only provide add-ons if they specifically ask for details. And when you get hit with a pressure question, use the ART framework. Don't build up to the punchline. Answer it directly, reveal an insight or a story, and tie it back to the original point. This makes you sound direct, precise, and completely in control. But what happens when you are actively attacked in a boardroom? Your brain actually treats social rejection like a physical tiger attack. The Calm protocol is how you biologically and psychologically survive that. First, control the frame. Ask yourself what game is actually being played here. Second, absorb the hit. Just let their anger or pressure land without returning fire. Third, lower the stakes. Remind your nervous system that this is just a conversation, it's not a life or death threat. And fourth, move decisively. Deliver one clear, clean sentence without any emotional baggage. You have to control yourself first, and then you control the room. And a huge part of that de-escalation is advanced listening. Use the listening mixer. Literally mute your own inner monologue, pause, record their tone, and play it back. And if tension is really skyrocketing, deploy the core protocol. Lead with curiosity, stick strictly to objectivity and facts, offer reassurance that you're on the same team, and show empathy. This shifts the spotlight entirely away from bruised egos and puts it squarely on objective facts, which instantly lowers the threat level in the room. Let's pivot to Section 4, Business, Wealth, and Systems Thinking. So this is the systemic side of the playbook, focusing on exactly how the top 1% engineer billion-dollar companies and personal wealth. If you want to build a highly profitable, maybe even a one-person AI business, this right here is your blueprint. Every successful business needs the dream functions: demand generation, revenue mechanics, an engine or core product, administration, and marketing. But before you build that machine, you've got to validate your idea with the founder's triangle. Do you have domain expertise, depth of craft, and a path for distribution? If you have all three, hit the gas. And this brilliantly illustrates how leaders have to change their entire systemic approach based on the level of chaos they face. You can't just use the same playbook for every problem. If a system is clear, you use standard checklists. If it's complicated, well, bring in the experts. But if you're innovating, you're dealing with complex systems which require small, safe experiments like A/B testing. And if you are early stage or in a full-blown crisis, it's chaotic. You don't build standard operating procedures in chaos. You act immediately to stabilize. As Sandeep notes, the biggest mistake founders make is installing massive software tracking before they have a single sale. Scale the signal, not the noise. When it comes to personal and corporate wealth, you need to remember this absolutely crucial truth. Revenue and profit are just accounting. Real, categorized cash, that is oxygen. This is the FBI protocol, your Financial Bureau of Investigation. You have to meticulously track your vital oxygen into 4 buckets: liquid cash for emergencies, core cash for essentials, capital deployed into equity and compounding assets, and finally, funds specifically allocated for enjoyment. Keep track of your oxygen or the game ends. Simple as that. Finally, we have Section 5, Career, Productivity, and Mindset. You know, all of those AI skills, communication tactics, and business systems we just talked about, they rely entirely on your personal operating system to function. The ultimate edge here is the time horizon advantage. Most people want results in a week, but the 1%, they plan in 3 distinct timelines. In your 90-day timeline, your job is to be visible, produce undeniable proof of work. In your 12 to 18-month timeline, your job is to be valuable by compounding your skills. And in your 5-year timeline, you are a visionary, making those big long-term bets. This is cathedral thinking, guys, planting oaks instead of flowers. So right now, map out your 90-day visibility push. What are you doing this quarter to prove your worth? Here is your ultimate toolbox for career acceleration. High performers know exactly what mode they are in at all times. For instance, using the 3-2-1 system, you should always know if you are currently a maker doing deep work, a marker editing others, or a multiplier connecting the whole organization. You also need to rigorously score your current role using the quick quotient. If your drive, fit, and growth have flatlined, it's time to walk away. Use the rest of the frameworks on this screen to map your productivity and relentlessly compound your reputation. But to sustain this level of output without burning out, you absolutely have to master what Sandeep calls the 3 spaces. The space between stimulus and response gives you control. The space between urgency and importance gives you focus. But the 3rd space is the secret weapon, the space between your identity and the outcome. If your ego is fused to the outcome, every single failure feels like a knife wound. Detach your ego from the result, and you will find true, unshakable executive calm.
To defend that calm, you have to tame your brain's default mode network. You know, that inner voice that never, ever shuts up. Use the FIRED framework to label toxic thoughts. Are you feeling like a fraud? Are you attacking your identity, reading minds, exaggerating, or dooming? Label it and then use stop. Slow down, take a breath, observe the thought without judgment, and proceed mindfully. These act as biological circuit breakers to protect your intuition, introspection, and invention. I really want to leave you with this incredible piece of perspective. When Sandeep was in his early 20s, completely lost and unsure if he was actually good at anything, an old mentor told him this: "You're not lost. You just can't see around the corner yet. You're meant for so much more, for a different world." Sometimes nothing shapes you more than someone believing in you more than you believe in yourself. So, as you apply these frameworks to master AI, build your business, and accelerate your learning, I want to leave you with a final thought and a pretty massive tool. First, you can literally go to an AI tool like ChatGPT or Claude right now and tell it, act as an expert presentation designer. Your objective is to create a comprehensive, slide-by-slide PowerPoint outline of all the mental models taught by Sandeep Swadia. Feed it the frameworks we covered today, from the AIM framework to the FBI protocol, and have it build an executive deck for your team. It is an absolute game changer. Finally, ask yourself this. Most people go through their careers asking, what will this decision get me? But the top 1% ask a much harder question. What will this decision make me? The first is about extracting value. The second is about identity and true mastery. Which game are you playing? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on The Explainer.